Community Action Agency is the county's anti-poverty agency, federally designated. In our county, we are part of the Department of Health and Human Services, and we provide a range of services based on the needs and the resources available.
The Community Action Agency here in Montgomery County began in the 1960s. It is an outgrowth of the war on poverty.
And this administration today, here and now, declares unconditional war on poverty in America.
And the Economic Opportunity Act, which created throughout the United States a community action agency for most jurisdictions. The role of local community action agencies was to inform and enable low-income individuals so that they could become more engaged in their communities and more involved in self-help, self-advocacy. Interestingly, the Community Action Agency was the first more or less county-driven human service agency. We had a health department and a social service department, but they were all exclusively state agencies. The first place in the county in which our local elected officials could have some say as to how we should help poor people was in the Community Action Agency. The Community Action Board created the first advisory council to engage low-income people in making policy. They created the first transportation system, believe it or not, for low-income individuals that actually morphed into our ride-on system later on in the 1970s. They created a number of food programs for the hungry. They created the Head Start programs, but it all began with the Community Action Agency in the late 1960s.
We have direct services as well as services that are delivered with our nonprofit partners. And some of the direct services that we provide in the Long Branch community, we operate the TESS Center. The Tacoma East Silver Spring Center is a walk-in service site where folks can come on in and have their needs addressed, whether they're emergency needs or trying to be linked to other services.
So we have programs that serve the community, and it can be low-income people, people who are new to the country, just anybody in general who needs any kind of assistance on programs and services. Most of our clients are newcomers to the country from multicultural backgrounds. Spanish speakers, people who speak Amharic, Vietnamese, a lot of Cameroonians coming in now. A lot of them are low-income, working poor, single moms with 2-3 children. Education level is very low. We have all the social services like applying for resources and food stamps and Medicaid, but also how to get your child in school, how to apply for a driver's license, how to rent an apartment, how to apply for a job. We see an average of 30 to 40 walk-ins per day. There's a staff of 4, and then we're also what's called the non-site, the Neighborhood Opportunity Network site. I have 2 part-time community connectors through them. And with volunteers, we have them in different capacities. In the summer months, we have the Summer Meals Program. We distributed, I think, close to 1,600 meals. We have about 100 volunteers per year. Anna's a longtime volunteer.
I'm so happy for, this center. This is very good for you, for senior, for needy help for kids in school, for everything, for class. English class. My mom 98 years now, okay, for whatever needed for document, paper, coming for medicines, for everything for senior.
We also have the Head Start grant. We are the grantee. MCPS is the delegate. So we work very closely to make sure those services are delivered, high quality early childhood services, family support, comprehensive health and nutrition.
Head Start is a program for low-income children and families to prepare children for kindergarten and school beyond. It's an important program for the county because it provides a way for children who may not have the experience of going to school, they are not in any kind of child care program, to get them prepared for kindergarten. We want children to start strong in their 4-year-old year so that they can finish strong in the 12th grade and be productive members of our community, be able to get jobs. We are teaching families how they can work with their children at home, not just on the academic piece, but skills that they can use to address behavioral challenges or anything like that. We offer English classes for families that don't speak English. All of our classes have 2 field trips because what we know is that the kinds of things that hold children back is lack of experience and lack of opportunity. For Head Start, you have to be at or below the federal poverty line. So for a family of 4, that's approximately $22,000. This program in Montgomery County is funded to serve 34 classes, 648 children. The county, as you know, is very diverse. We have 60 or so languages that are spoken. We have a diversity in language and diversity in families.
The Community Action Agency and I work together to champion a increase in funding to make a Head Start go from a 2.5-hour-a-day program to a full-day program. When you stop and think about, what are we providing with a 2.5-hour-a-day pre-K program? Like if you are at the federal poverty level in Montgomery County, single parent, 1 child perhaps, your income $16,000, $20,000 a year. You may not be driving, you may be riding the bus. You're hopefully working. How are you going to get your child into a program and to your job and then back to get your child and then back home, with a 2.5-hour-a-day program? So it's just inadequate. And what we were able to do together was add enough funding to make that 2.5-hour-a-day program full day.
And we also have a wide Vita partnership, free tax help for folks in the county who need taxes done, and working with volunteers in the community.
Vita stands for Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program. The program is run by volunteers. All of the volunteers must be certified through the IRS.
Okay. And charitable. The best part is just giving back to the community, helping out a bit. I mean, you get to meet people from the community that you wouldn't necessarily normally run into day to day, and interact and help them out in a positive manner.
Anyone who has an income of $54,000 or under and is a resident of Montgomery County is eligible for the Vita program. It's a totally free program, so it saves the taxpayer anywhere from $300 and above. It's totally, because it's free. So that's extra money that they can use for something else. And it puts money back into the community. As for being a volunteer, it's the most gratifying thing that you could ever do. But if I could tell you just a short story, we had a tax preparer, and she came in and she had her taxes done. When she finished, she started to cry. And sometimes it makes you emotional when you think about it, but she wanted to thank us because she said that now she could buy bids for her kids. Her kids were 8, 11, and 12, and they had never slept in a bed.
The Community Action Agency is deeply involved in helping low-income people prepare their tax filings. If you don't file taxes, then you won't be able to get access to the tax benefit. The Working Families Income Supplement is a local EITC. It's a local earned income tax credit. It's basically a refund of taxes paid for the lowest income working taxpayer. We are one of only a handful of local governments in America that provide a local supplement on top of the federal and the state. And when you combine all 3 of those, you really start to have a very significant impact on, the affordability of living in a county as expensive as Montgomery County. And the EITC is proven, families that have access to the EITC, their children do better in school, their children have better health outcomes, parents have better health outcomes. So it is one of the country's most effective anti-poverty programs, and I think it's remarkable that we have a local one.
And then we have over 30 nonprofits that we work with to deliver a range of services ranging from food, emergency help, social services, employment, legal help, clothing. In Montgomery County, the Community Action Agency works with its board. Its board is an advocacy organization that helps different officials or community members understand what the challenges are.
We have a tripartite board, which is made up of first community members, second nonprofit community leaders, and third government employees and appointees. We actually created the Community Advocacy Institute within the board. We are in our second year with that program. And the initial idea was to develop an institute that would teach and train low-income residents on advocacy. And we're incredibly proud of this program. It's an 8-month program. It meets once a month. There are a variety of workshops and speakers and exercises and training that the participants are engaged in. And at the end of the program, the goal is for each person to either write a letter, visit with an elected official about something they have an interest in, or actually give testimony during a budget or council hearing.
Well, as a part of the Parent Policy Council for the Head Start program, I was elected as our representative to the Community Action Board. Well, at the Community Action Board, there's a wider discussion. As a part of the Policy Council, our topics are more parent-centered, between the parent and the child, and the parent and the teacher and the student. But what I'm able to do is bring information back from the Community Action Board from the wider county perspective to the parents who really need the services that the Community Action Agency offers.
Our county is moving forward to make sure that jobs are closer to paying a living wage, but it's still very expensive, the cost of housing and childcare particularly.
The self-sufficiency standard is basically an algorithm that shows you what it takes for a family of a certain makeup to live in a particular area without income supports. So for example, within Montgomery County, a single mom with 2 children would need to make an average annual income of about $94,000 to live in Montgomery County without income supports. And so what we use the self-sufficiency standard for is we take it and we customize it to Montgomery County, and then we use that as a tool to train other nonprofit groups, to speak to elected officials, and to inform the public of what actually it takes to live and be successful and sustainable in this county.
2, 1.
Montgomery County is a great county. It's very diverse. We have lots of opportunities and things for people, but we have to be cognizant of the fact that our demographic is changing and income is changing, earnings are changing, industry is changing. It affects people who need to be retrained. It affects senior citizens. It affects children. And so community action is really just the messenger, if you will, to keep in mind as we move forward with policy, with decisions, with economic development, that we need to consider the whole community, all of our neighbors and all of our residents, so that we can thrive and be successful.